Purpose of this video is to demonstrate the use of filtering as well as the use of the total row when working with tables. The prior video reviewed sorting options that you have. So let's talk about filtering. Right here, these drop-down arrows are called filter buttons. And so I can, my filter, it allows me to make selections. I can select a section or a sub-portion of the data to be displayed. So for instance, I could, instead of selecting all records, I could select only those that are organizational donors. And what you can see here is now reduced the selection for display of the information I had in my table to just those where the donor type is organization. It has not deleted the other data, and you can kind of get this idea by reviewing the display of the rows. You can see here that it looks like it's most likely hidden. If I want to clear a filter arrow, I can just select it and say clear the filter from donor type, and it reselects them all. But I can use combinations of filter arrows as well. So I'll select the donor type. In this case, I'm going to select the individual donor type. Amount pledged is a numeric field. I could select individual numbers, but more often when you're working with amounts, you're going to want to have some type of other filter. You could say top 10, bottom 10. But for instance, maybe when I want to say everybody who's got a pledge amount greater than $100, and I'll select that and say OK. So now the amount pledged displays everything greater than $100. The third type of filter is on a date field. If I select that option, you can see here if I had multiple years, I would have that available. In this case, I've got different months. I could even go down to different days. The other thing I can do are date filters: before, after, between, tomorrow, today, and there's a whole list that even goes off the screen here. So there are lots of options that I could do here. In this case, I'll say January and April. Maybe I'm interested in the first part of the year, so I'll say OK, and it further selects the data. So that's an example of using the filter arrow buttons. I've got 3 of them selected right here: donor type of individual, pledge date of January or April, and amount pledged greater than $100. When I want to clear all of my filter arrows off of the data tab, I'll just select clear, and they all come back. Another feature within tables is the use of what's called the total row. And I'm going to go ahead under the Table Tools Design. I've scrolled to the bottom. I select the total row option. And now what you can see here, let me go ahead and turn these off here for a minute. I was doing some other things earlier. I think this probably defaulted to sum. When I start a total row, a numeric field typically is going to default. It's going to sum things up. And so you can see here we have these drop-down arrows, and a lot of different options. We can do average, count, min, max, and so forth. I'm going to leave, how about if we select the max? We want to know the maximum amount owed. The amount pledged, it might be helpful to see an average of what the pledge average is, and maybe we want to see the total amount that we've received. So I'm going to use the sum function there. Working with characters, of course, adding and subtracting doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but you can certainly count. And so by selecting count, it tells me that there are 28 records displayed. So of all the records, I've got 28. An amount pledged is an average of 341. The total I've received is over 7,000, and the maximum amount owed is 750. You'll notice that when I then select filter arrows, for instance, if I change this and say only display individuals, that recognizes that there are 20 individuals, and you can see how the averages and the things have changed. And so the total row, in conjunction with the filter arrows, allows you sometimes to do analysis or answer particular questions. When you're done with the total row, all you have to do is deselect that from Table Tools Design, deselect the total row, and it's no longer there. And as I mentioned before, off of the Data tab, I can clear the filters. Thank you.